Well, hey everybody, it's the 26th day of October 2025, Sunday. I'm Jan Erickson, and this is As Above, So Below. Well, I hope your week has been going well. I have been kind of enjoying doing the weekly Monday through Friday As Above, So Below written stuff. I'm just doing it in one post, and so that comes out on Monday mornings at 3 a.m., I think, is when I have it scheduled. But it's the two runes for each day that I already have for the forecast. I'm using that, and then I draw one card, and so it's a three modality reading, if you will. Same as this, only instead of three cards, it's just one for that particular day. And I kind of like doing it, so I don't know. Maybe I'll do it for a while and see how it goes. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. And the forecast came out. It's out on the blog at Stepping Aside, and that came out this morning, as did the correspondences for Work and Magic for the week. They're also out. So if you want to check that out, go over there to Stepping Aside, and the web address there is imsteppingaside.com. If you forget, you can click on more below the video, and it opens up a box, and it's right there. So. But let's get started today with Tiwaz. Now, Tiwaz is an interesting rune. It reflects the small g god Tyr, and the idea. It's the 17th rune of the Elder Futhark. It's essentially this. I view it as the spiritual warrior within. It looks like the letter T, or it looks like an arrow pointing upward. You can see Laguz forward and reversed. You can see Kenaz here, and you can see Issa here. But if you're talking about the spiritual warrior within, you're talking about having faith, inner faith. It's also about justice, the idealistic male, if you will, oaths and sacrifices, and again, what the god Tyr represents, and it represents all of that. But the idea of integrity and taking an oath to stand up for others, stand up for yourself, stand up on behalf of others. That would be a really good explanation or interpretation for Tiwaz. So maybe there's something there. You access the inner warrior within this week, and to stand up for, your what you've committed to stand up for human rights, for example, the rights of others, maybe, or even just your own. There's so much going on right now where all of that is just so totally threatened. Here we have, in the geomancy rune, we have Tristitia. Now, Tristitia and Laetitia are each other's complements at each end of the spectrum here. There's Tristitia. Whereas Laetitia is about joy and a very positive rune, Tristitia is about hanging on to sadness and grief and getting stuck there, and seeing everything through a negative lens. When things happen, that are big in your life, and even if they're not so big, but they impact you in a big way. Sometimes you can get stuck in the grief over all of it, and the sadness and the sorrow, and you can't really move forward. It's very similar in energy to the geomancy rune Karser, where you're stuck in this self imprisonment by the ego, and stuck in your own perceptions, that bubble of perception. But it keeps you from seeing other ideas and viewpoints. It keeps you from moving forward as well, because you're just stuck there and you can't really do anything. And so those two runes, I think, really correlate in their own way, but they're still kind of talking about the same sort of thing, where you see things through a lens that it doesn't necessarily reflect the whole picture of anything. And in this case, it's about sadness and loss and grief. It can be about condemnation. It can mean acting in a secretive way with others, not being truly honest about things. It could be anything like that. It's considered, like Karser, it's considered an evil rune. I don't think it's evil. I think we just get stuck in things, and we just can't get out of it. And ego's involved in there somewhere, you know. as opposed to higher self, where you do see the whole picture and you don't judge. Whereas with Tristitia, there's a lot of judgment. And again, it's seeing through the lens of extreme grief and loss, and you can't move out of that. And so maybe just for an internal way of looking at this, both of these runes, maybe with Tiwaz, you're standing up for higher awareness. You're invoking the spiritual warrior within to move out of that grief and loss and see things in a different way, and integrate with the world on a different level. Whatever that is for you, whether it's your family or friends or the community or your job or whatever, you just can't get there with Tristitia. And so invoke the spiritual warrior within to let go of that and to stand up for what's truly right for yourself, instead of being in that very lower vibrational type of experience. So it could be something that's entirely within today or for this next week. Let's see what the cards have to say, because maybe they're going to suggest that it could have to do with other people, where you're standing up for people that can't stand up for themselves, that are too caught up in their own emotions. What I'm being caught up in right now is I'm being caught up in the cards that don't want to shuffle. I had a hard time yesterday shuffling cards too. Getting ready to write, not for this week, but for the following week. I do everything a week ahead. And I was trying to get the 5 cards for the week, and it's like I could not get them to shuffle at all. Well, there we go again. Some days are just like that. Some days I'll literally throw like 5 or 6 cards. They'll just go everywhere. Hopefully today's not going to be one of those days. Oh, there we go. So anyway, let's cut the deck, and we'll take the lower half and we'll draw 3 cards. Well, we have 2 cards from the Major Arcana. And again, one of them is going to align extremely well. Well, both of them align well with Tiwaz, Judgment and Justice. And then we have the 2 of Wands, which is making a decision. And again, if you're in the Tristitia energy and you can't get out of it, you're going to have to make a choice. And to move outside that comfort zone and into the rest of the world, which really talks about that with the 2 in a very real way, making a choice about where he's going to go as a merchant, stepping through a doorway into new experiences. So making that decision. And again, you could say the same thing about Tiwaz and Tristitia, using that spiritual warrior within to move into a better, higher vibratory spiritual place, as opposed to being governed by grief that's just so much. It just feels like it's like you can't even walk right. Everything just feels heavy. But let's do the numerology here real quick. So Tiwaz is the 17th rune. 17 reduces to 8. So 1 and 7 is 8. So, and 8 is about strength and inner strength. So again, even the numerology reflects that. So 17 plus 2 plus Judgment is 20. And 11 is Justice. So we have 50. And so that would be 5. So again, 5 is about change and protection and innovation and variety but again, it's about change and protection. And so the change you need to make, especially if you're caught up in the Tristitia energy, is to get out of it and move into a different type of mindset and heart set, if you will. But let's be sure of that numerology before we go any further. 17 plus 2 plus 20 plus 11. Yeah, 50. Now, if you look at these cards individually, the numerology of 20 reduces to 2. So you've got 2, decision-making points here with the 2 of Wands and with awakening to truth. with judgment. And then you have the 11 for justice. And 11 is a master number for awakening and enlightenment and illumination. And so, again, higher vibratory viewpoint, seeing the bigger picture and not allowing the ego to pull you down into the mud, essentially. And that's really what, I mean, if you had a visual, that would be Tristitia, is having the ego pull you down into the mud and you can't move. You can't see things in any other type of a way than feeling that way. And again, it's like with depression. Depression can, and depression could be part of Tristitia too. Depression just makes you feel like you're moving through life with chains on and heavy concrete blocks that you're carrying because you just can't. You don't have any energy, right? And so it could be something like that as well. Let's take a look at the 2 first. The 2 of Wands, here we have a guy who's holding a globe in his hand. He's standing up on top of a building or maybe on top of a bridge or something. And his ideas and all his opportunities and his creative impulses are fixed here. Those are fixed things in his life, even though this is a staff or a pole. Or a wand. It's the fire element, and you're looking at the energy to create and the energy to move forward into new opportunities and things like that. It's that creative spark within, and that's what he carries with him, will always be there. But here you have one higher up that he's holding, and he's resting it on this part of the wall there. You see the prosperity here with the grapes and the lilies, the new opportunities that bring prosperity. You see that right there, right here. He's looking out over the bay. He's holding that globe in one hand, and in a sense, he's creating a doorway for himself into new experiences. And the answer to Tristitia is to create that doorway into a new mindset and a new heart set, if you will. How you feel about things and how you see things has to change. And again, with the overall 5 numerology of the reading being change and protection, you're protecting your future essentially by letting go of the ego and bringing yourself ever higher with the idea of the spiritual warrior within with Tiwaz. Judgment is an interesting card. It's about renewal and transformation and awakening to, everyone's standing up out of their coffins because the angel's blowing the angel Gabriel's blowing the horn, waking them all up, saying, okay, come on. And you see this pennant. Now, I don't know for sure how other tarot readers interpret the pennant here with the cross, as opposed to a religious cross where you have the cross piece up higher. Here, to me, this is balance. To me, this is focus into form. This is the soul focusing into form, and this is the line of the abyss where it goes down below into physical reality. And so, if you want to look at this as the projective and receptive presence within, or masculine and feminine, if you see it that way, to me, that's too genderish, and so I kind of like to look at it more energetically. So that's where I come up with the idea of projective versus receptive. And so you've got this balance between projective and receptive energy within in physical reality, aligned in balance with the soul focusing in to physical reality. And so it has to do it in a way that achieves some kind of energetic balance, so that you can see things in the proper way. And ideally, if we were all living as we should and in that type of awareness, we would be in the center. But instead, we're more down here by the bottom because we get caught up in the ego, or in this case, the Tristitia of everything. So I'm just spending a little time on this flag here, this pennant, because I think that also part of judgment is a rebalancing. So you rebalance those energies before you come back into reality again. So there's that. Now, So the choice that you're making then with the 2, the decision that you make, is to rebalance and awaken to the truth of who you really are, and that you're not the person here who has had some experiences that brought you to that Tristitia moment in life. Instead, what you are is a soul having an experience here, and instead of getting so caught up in the grief of everything, it's best to get out of that as soon as you can and get back into the higher vibratory state that you truly are, so that you can make the most of this existence instead of being stuck in grief and sorrow and sadness and seeing everything through that lens, being very negative of nothing will get better when in fact it will. And then we come to justice. When you allow the ego to take over, the higher form of self-justice just isn't there. You need to be in a higher place, and you need to have a type of balance that is going to keep you there, instead of allowing you to sink into that Tristitia energy and the mud of it all, if you will. And even though you've got 2 2s here, the 2 of Wands, and essentially, even though it's the 20th card, the numerology is 2. So these are decisions to awaken. So is this, because you have the 11th card. And again, master number 11 is awakening, enlightenment, illumination, to where you see things from a balanced perspective, when you allow the scales to settle, instead of, one being to see what you've got, right? And they're even. It's a card of Libra. I'm a Libran, and everything's got to be in balance. It has to be, right? And so, same sort of feeling, where everything needs to be rebalanced. And I think but the thing is that it's probably not going to happen on its own. It's going to happen because you've chosen to awaken to the truth of it all. And that you don't need to be in the Tristitia moment all of your life. You can let go of the sorrow and move forward into something else, instead of being stuck there and you don't go anywhere, right? For you to live your life as the soul is supposed to do here, you can acknowledge what you've learned from those things that have brought you to that point, that you've reacted to, and just become, totally encapsulated in it, if you will. That's probably a little more Carcer energy of the encapsulation, but still, that's what's happening with Tristitia as well. So I think that the change that has to happen has to do with a decision that needs to be made. The decision to let go of sorrow and grief, and to stop looking at everything through a negative lens, and to realize that there's more coming in your life than what you're experiencing right now, if you will only make the choice, make that decision to move forward into something else. To go through that doorway that you're hesitant to go through, that grief and sorrow are keeping you in that space that you're just afraid to move out of. But it's fear-based. It's not truth-based. It's fear-based. And so essentially the idea of the world's your oyster, essentially. I don't even know who came up with that, but it's the idea that you can do anything. That there could be something really wonderful that comes out of it, such as the pearl, right? So maybe that's it. There's something exciting about moving forward into something new, and if you've been stuck in that mindset for a while, then pretty much anything is going to feel new and exciting to you once you let go of it and move forward in that direction, and accept and embrace that change, because the idea of protection, you don't have any when you think you do. When you're in the Tristitia, you're protecting yourself. You're really not. You're just keeping yourself from experiencing life that you're supposed to be experiencing. So what are you really protecting? You're not really protecting anything. You're just refusing to live. And that's not why you're here. So I guess that's my point. So anyhow, I think that's it. I don't think we need another card. I just think it's really interesting, and if you look at the 11, that also reduces to 2. I don't like to reduce the 11 to 2, but it's interesting, 2, 2, and 2, if you did that here. But again, 2 is the lower vibrational numerology of 11. 11 is the higher vibrational numerology. Just like with the 22, master number 22, you can reduce that to, 2 and 2 is 4. 4 would be the lower vibrational numerology, the more physical reality numerology of that energy itself. But 22 is the master number for the cosmic builder, and magnified by 2 here for of the 11. So 11 and then 22 and then 33. Although not all numerologists look at 33 as a master number, but some of us do. So I'm not a numerologist though, so that's probably why I do. But to me, that's Christ consciousness. And that's really getting to that level of higher awareness where you're living there. You're judging everything by that, which means you're probably not judging at all. And so, but I think that's kind of interesting that with the 11, if you did reduce it to 2, we have 2, 2, and 2. So in any event, I think that's it. I think we've done it. And just think about that. If you're having trouble getting out of, feeling depressed or anxious or sad, and it's all on steroids, basically, where this is really deep within you and you just really are struggling. It's a choice. It's a choice to be there, and it's a choice to leave there and to move on into something else that you're better suited for, as a soul. But you forget all that, and suddenly it's react, and pretty soon you're just like, oh my gosh, and you feel the weight of the world on you. And that's not what you're supposed to be doing. So anyway, thanks for watching. Think about this week if it applies to you. Maybe it applies to a friend, if not you. But just remember, if it doesn't right now, there may come a point here where it does, and it's a choice. It's a choice to be there. You can choose something else. So anyhow, come back again next Sunday. Again, check out what's on the blog, and if you want to look at the As Above, So Below post for the week, it's just Monday through Friday, and because I do this on Sundays, and I figure Saturday's covered by this, and so if you want to see some other stuff, you can look there and see if any of that resonates for you. And then come back again next Sunday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.